chapter 2 of the book of Exodus, we saw that God had aroused his people to seek his help to remove their slavery. In the meanwhile, God had been at work preparing Moses for the task of deliverer. But the time had now come for God to be seen to act and fulfill his promises. And so we turn in this study to Exodus chapter 3 verses 1 to 10. The story in chapter 3 begins with a description of Moses carrying out his usual work as a shepherd. One day, while he was tending the flocks of his father-in-law, God appeared to him and commissioned him to be the leader who was to deliver the children of Israel. It was probably the early summer when this happened. The heat in the desert would have been considerable. Because of this, Moses would have been used to seeing the dry thorn bushes in the desert set alight by the sun. However, on this occasion, his attention was all alerted by the fact that though the fire continued to burn, the bush was not consumed. We can well imagine his surprise, and since we are all inquisitive by nature, we can understand his desire to investigate this strange event more closely. We would have surely done the same. Having gained Moses' attention in this way, the angel of the Lord revealed himself. The angel appears regularly in the Old Testament. Often as here, the phrase is used of an appearance of God in a visible way. Some Christians have concluded from this that the angel was the second person of the Trinity, the Son of God. This is possible. Certainly the angel is at the same time both described as God and yet distinguishes himself from God. The very least that can be said is that this angel prepares the reader of the Bible for the fuller revelation of God as 3 in 1 in the New Testament. Normally in the Bible, fire is a symbol of God's holiness, and so it is in this story. In many parts of the world, people are expected to remove their shoes or sandals when entering a place of worship. This act represents the removal of uncleanness caused by contact with the world. It's a recognition of the holiness of God. All this explains God's request to Moses in verse 5. Wonderfully, however, the holy God appeared to Moses, the sinner, as a friend. We're not told at this point of the story how this could possibly be so. However, the later chapters of Exodus devote many chapters to explaining this awesome and marvelous mystery. The angel of the Lord quickly explained why he had appeared to Moses. The Lord was the same God who had made the promises to Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, and those promises were now to be fulfilled. In response to the people's prayer for help, God was going to save his people at last. The God of the Bible uses men and women to achieve his purposes. He has no need to do so. However, he humbly invites us to share with him in fulfilling his plans. What a remarkable privilege. In this story, this privilege is given to Moses. God was going to save his people, but Moses was the person chosen by God to achieve it. Some people are puzzled by the fact that Moses' father-in-law is given at least 2 different names in the Bible. But should we be surprised when this happens here and on other occasions in the Bible? Most of us have several names, our first names and surnames, nicknames and pet names. We're known by different names on different occasions or situations. Thus Moses' father-in-law is here given what was probably his public name, Jethro. But in chapter 2 verse 18 he was called Reuel, which was probably his family name.